Right, we've already been told that you can't celebrate Australia Day because of so-called colonial shame. And now it seems our shared access to Australia's spectacular natural landscape is also under threat depending on your skin colour. And that's what's happening now. When the pandemic hit in 2020, the hiking trail up Mount Warning in the Northern Rivers region of New South Wales was closed. But after COVID, it stayed closed on account, we were then told, of its cultural significance. We're also told there to Indigenous Australians. It costs New South Wales taxpayers right now $7,000 a week to post security guards at all the trail entrances to keep it closed. But it doesn't end there. In 2022, the New South Wales Department of National Parks recommended handing over the management of the Mount Warning site to the Wollumbin Consultative Group, small collective of local Indigenous families and community organisations. The group has previously claimed that allowing females, including Indigenous females, on the site would ruin its cultural significance. Well, one man who refuses to be locked out of this national park by acquiescing to these activists is Marc Hendrickx, who defied the current ban to climb up and watch the sunrise on Mount Warning on Australia Day. And Marc joins me now. Well, it seems wrong to me, Marc, that a national park is no longer open to everyone who lives in this nation. And of course, taxpayers pay to protect it, look after it, but taxpayers are also paying for these security guards to lock you out. Tell me what's so special about this place and why the ban came into effect.
Peter, look, Mount Warning National Park is one of the most beautiful national parks on the east coast of Australia. The mountain itself represents the remains of a 23 million year old shield volcano. You think Hawaii, but on the land. And since it erupted, it's travelled northwards with the Australian continental plate around about 1,500 kilometres, and it now sits in this wonderful subtropical climate near the Queensland border, where it's covered in a lush subtropical rainforest. There are beautiful plants, flowers, reptiles, birds to be found there. The views from the summit are simply extraordinary, and you won't get them anywhere else in northern New South Wales. It's just simply a magical place. In the early 1900s, the people of Murwillumbah recognised its beauty and they petitioned the state government for it to be preserved as a national park. And in 1929, that was declared. And the track that they built was so good that the Attorney General who opened the park was able to ride to within 200 metres of the summit on horseback with his wife. Now, the summit, the park was then opened. There were about 200 people at the summit, including about a lot of local school children attended. So the locals there just acknowledged how important and special the place was, and they established that national park for all Australians. Now, as you mentioned, in 2020, in March, National Parks moved in and put a temporary closure to do with the COVID pandemic. But the move to close the park has come over probably since around about 2006, when a sign from the Bundjalung Nation stated that they preferred people not to climb to the summit. So the moves to close the park by National Parks were in place for a long time, and it seems that COVID provided a real opportunity for them to action those plans under the cover of the state government lockdowns. Yeah.
So I'm told, correct me if I'm wrong, that not all Indigenous people in the region actually agree with the closure. Many support your pleading, your protest, that the park should remain open to all Australians.
Look, up until the claims that the park was especially sacred only emerged in the very late 1990s. I've got a beautiful glossy document here, a guide to climbing Mount Warning, which was published by National Parks in 1993, and that celebrates the climb. It calls the climb a staircase to the sky. And there's no mention in this document in 1993 that there were any problem with people climbing to the summit. So at the millennium, that sort of turnover between 1999 and 2000, National Parks had a billet of 60 people to attend the summit sunrise, to experience the first sunrise of the millennium. And at that stage, right at the close to the event being held, a single Aboriginal man from remote from the area claimed that he had a problem with people climbing to the summit, and he wanted that climb closed, despite it being authorised by National Parks and agreed to by the Tweed Byron Land Council. So that's when this thing all started. And since that time, there's been a lot of disagreement from different Aboriginal groups in northern New South Wales about it. The most important being the Hendrickx people, who are the traditional owners based on National Parks' own research, which was published in their management plan in the 1990s. In 2007, one of the key figures of the Hendrickx group, a lady called Marlene Boyd, stated, and she called out those fake Bundjalung claims on the mountain, and she stated, it's a beautiful statement. She said, one, she supported the public access to the summit, and she said, how can the public experience the spiritual significance of this land if they do not climb the summit and witness creation? That statement is just such a universal statement of human values, And National Parks just ignored her, ignored her for 20 years, ignored her family. Sadly, she died in 2007, and it seems that they were able to push through with their plans to support these Bundjalung claims since that time. It's just astonishing. Australia Day, I had the real pleasure of climbing to the summit with Marlene's son, Sturt Boyd. So he invited us to the summit to climb with him on Australia Day, and it was just such a magical experience to see that sunrise with Marlene's son, Sturt, and an incredible experience. It just goes to show that there is not a consensus among Aboriginal people about the summit climb. It's simply not true. It's one of the lies that National Parks have promulgated. Yeah.
All strength to your arm. I'm almost out of time, but I want you to tell people where they can go to in terms of your Facebook group and support the stand you're taking on behalf of all Australians.
Sure. Look, there's a couple of groups. There's the Reopen Mount Morning Facebook group, so you can find that obviously on Facebook. And I'm wearing the Save Our Summits T-shirt. That's another association that's formed. So this problem is not just in New South Wales, so it's spread across to other peaks. Save Our Summits was formed in particular to save Mount Beerwah and Mount Tibrogargan from being closed for similar reasons as Mount Warning. So you can find us online, Save Our Summits. They've got a website and we've got a Facebook page. We're not going to let this... This fight is not over by a long shot. Hopefully next Australia Day, Peter, we can climb up there legally and just celebrate Australia together. It's such a great nation, and Mount Warning is a symbol of that great nation. It's just so sad to see what National Parks have done to it.
Brilliant work, Marc. Keep it up. We'll stay in touch.
Thank you.
There you go. Head to his Facebook page, those various Facebook pages. Stay across the fight. Get involved, please. He's right. It's coming right across Australia. I'm aware of Mount Arapiles down near Halls Gap, also under threat now.